Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Got some breaking news here. Just minutes ago, Donald Trump signed some executive orders mandating the release of the secret files for JFK, RFK, and MLK. Okay. It always bothers me my entire life that these were hidden from us in the first place. There is no longer a good explanation on why any of those three should have details about the case hidden from us. And I'm super skeptical on the motivation by them being hidden from us in the first place. But the conspiracy theories around JFK are legion. There are people who I've done JFK themed topics on radio shows in different states and different cities, and I can cram the phone lines for 3 hours straight because some people have some hot sports opinions on these cases, and they've had books on them. And the JFK one, though, I mean, it's really hard to believe that Lee Harvey Oswald got those shots off and that he was that successful, and the whole back into the left thing and the whole fact that he was killed right after. I mean, there's so much suspicious stuff around just that one case. I really don't know a whole lot about the RFK case. You'll find some holes in my pop culture and history knowledge here because I'm just doing this on the fly. I didn't have time to prepare on this because I didn't know it was going to happen. But have you ever looked into the MLK shooting? There's a lot of people who think James Earl Ray was a patsy. In fact, just to refresh my memory, I went and pulled up the Wikipedia page, and for as accurate as that can be, for as trusted as it can be, they claim that the King family thinks it was someone else. The King family has stated that they believe the true murderer was a Memphis Police Department officer, Lieutenant Earl Clark. So let's find. I can't wait. Let's find out. I never bought the idea that, well, the public can't handle it or it would cause problems if the public knew the truth. No, that's not a good answer. Just like for the UFOs. Well, we have to hide this. The public can't handle it. We couldn't handle it if there was aliens. Stop it. What do you think? 800-288-9227. You tell me, what are we about to learn here from the release of these files? Larry in Fort Worth, you're on WBAP. What are we about to learn here?
I think for the JFK, we're going to learn that the cover-up is from the Secret Service that accidentally shot Kennedy. Now,
accidentally?
Yes, accidentally. So there's a book out there. It's called The Smoking Gun. Are you familiar with that?
I don't think no, not The Smoking Gun. I'm familiar with Dr. Mary's Monkey because I had talked to Dr. Mary. I was on in New Orleans for a while, and here's my one weird overlap. This is true. My father-in-law went to school with Lee Harvey Oswald.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, he's like 82 or 83 or something. But yeah, they went to Beauregard High School. He said he was a little weirdo, didn't have a whole lot of friends. And I'm like, father-in-law, weren't you a weirdo too? How could you dare call anyone else a... I kid. But then he had like an affair with a woman in New Orleans, and when she was like in her 60s, she came on my show 10 years ago in New Orleans with the book Dr. Mary's Monkey and made a very compelling case. And that's a story that is based half in New Orleans and half here. The only person that went to trial for the JFK assassination, that trial happened, the one that they showed in the Oliver Stone movie, that was at a courthouse in New Orleans that's still there, and they have a big plaque next to the room where that all happened. So it's just Dallas and New Orleans. And if you're going to convince me that there was a conspiracy in any of those three, I would believe it for the JFK one the most.
Yeah, and in the book, there's a lot of history behind it, and I don't remember the names individually, but the Secret Service agent that he calls out in this book, he actually sued him.
All right, Larry, real quick,
90s.
Who killed him?
So Oswald did shoot, and then when the Secret Service agents that were riding in the car turned to look up at the where Oswald was, they racked the gun, which at the time was a M16, and it fired, and that's where the second shot, okay. I guess the third shot that comes in.
So it was a whoopsie. It was an oops.
It was a whoopsie. So
right.
The big cover-up was, because there's two different rounds that are fired that's already kind of scientifically proven just by the...
all right, I got you on the record. I want to take some more calls, Larry, in Fort Worth. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Kevin, North Richland Hills. What do you think we're going to learn from the JFK files?
Well, I had to graduate from Texas here, watch that film about 20 times in slow motion, and I didn't know a whole lot about guns back then, but it was two guys on the grassy knoll. Small bullet hole going in, big bullet or big thing going out, and Jackie was chasing his brains, and so was this Secret Service agent.
Oh, that's such a gross video, isn't it? So, so who are these people? What was their motive?
The government. It was the whole thing is it'll be covered up. I've got a friend of mine that's a doctor that interned with the guy that did the autopsy, and but he said, you guys on the grassy knoll. It's not brain surgery, and they'll cover it up. And you ever watch the movie The Shooter?
I did not.
Okay, go to this old man, and he one of the guys, FBI agents, said, well, who killed Kennedy? He said, two guys on the grassy knoll. He said, well, how do you know? He said, still have the shovel.
Okay. Look, I can't argue with any of that. All good points. That's Kevin in North Richland Hills. What do you think we're going to uncover? Donald Trump just signed executive orders releasing the files for JFK, RFK, and MLK. Are we actually going to learn the truth here? Because if it was the CIA, why hide it now? All those guys are gone. Oh, you don't want to ruin your reputation? Is it really that simple? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. We got a mystery to solve. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Conspiracy theories, welcome on this segment. Because Donald Trump signed some executive orders today, just a few minutes ago, mandating the release of the secret files around RFK, JFK, MLK. What are we going to find? Are we actually going to learn the truth? Because there's some people out there saying, look, they're not going to really tell you the truth about this. It's just going to be a continuation of the cover-up. Well, I'm not that skeptical. We got to learn something, right? What do you think? This is Rick in Carrollton. What do you think we're going to learn from these files, Rick?
Yeah, I need to make a comment on this about JFK.
Go ahead.
My father spent 34 years in basically law enforcement for the federal government. He was the chief of one of the entities thereof, and he promised me when he passed away he'd tell me what happened. But unfortunately, he didn't tell me, but he hinted around quite a bit. And the hints are pretty clear to me. CIA was definitely involved, and nobody's ever going to hear that. I mean, yeah, everything's been redacted, and just it's crazy. If the American people think we can get the God's honest truth about what happened, I don't believe it's going to happen. But I do wholeheartedly believe that the CIA was involved.
Well, we do know the CIA was involved in some form or fashion because we had a release of some documents or an admission that happened, wasn't that like 3 or 4 years ago, where they said, okay, we're not saying we did it. We're just saying that we weren't completely uninvolved in the process.
They are one of their people pulled the trigger. I believe that with all my heart.
Well, once we find this out, then if it ceases being a conspiracy theory and the thing that loony people say to talk radio host in Dallas, then we can really put together some of the similarities that we have between the JFK and MLK, and also what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, where they had a crazy guy that was off his rocker and training with guns already, and they just kind of took an existing crazy person and pointed him in that direction. And almost
what gets me off guard is the guy on the golf course. He's been there for 12 hours, and I served with the U.S. Secret Service. You can't tell me that person laid there overnight. That's that bunch of baloney.
Right. Where did
somebody seeing him?
Where'd he go to the bathroom? All right. Thank you very much. I got some more calls here, Rick. I appreciate your input. This is why I'd be a terrible cop. I'm looking in the investigation. Where'd he go to the bathroom if he was there for 12 hours? Hayden in Arlington, you're next up on WBAP. What do you think we're going to learn?
Hi, man. So growing up in DFW, you hear the stories and all the scenarios that they put out. and what they say, right? None of it ever matched up for me. But with this coming out, I mean, I want to say that we're going to learn something that we don't know. But if I'm being honest, that they don't want to tell us, man. It's going to be one of those things where you hear what you've always heard, and there may be a little twist.
But we know something from that. If they don't want to tell us, it's because the truth will make them look bad.
Absolutely, yeah. And we know at least one government agency was involved in one for sure, if not all three. But I know there's definitely something that we're not going to know, and I don't think we're really going to be told the truth. I think it's going to be the same old story with a little variation, but not the whole truth.
Right, and there's a lot to be said for, like if you're not going to tell the story, you're admitting a truth. Like if your wife went on a girls' night out and she didn't get home until like 6 the next morning, and you're like, "Where were you?" She's like, "Nowhere." You're like, "Oh, I'm just thinking the worst now." The fact that you're not telling me lets me know it's going to be something I wouldn't like, and that means you weren't out doing Bible study. It means you weren't out, crocheting a quilt, were you? Let's go to Steve in Cleburne. Hey, Steve in Cleburne, you're on WBAP. What do you think we're going to learn from the JFK, RFK, MLK files?
Well, in the JFK, I believe you're going to find it's a conspiracy between the government and the mafia.
What's the mafia's incentive?
Well, they've been wanting to whack out Kennedy because they helped him get elected, and then his brother went after the mafia,
Oh, okay. So there's a little bit of a motive there. What's the motive for the government, the CIA, to take him out?
They provided the access. I think the mafia provided the guns.
Okay. Well, why would they allow that then? Why would the Secret Service /CIA allow that?
Well, the CIA, if you'll remember, John Kennedy fired Allen Dulles, which is, a sacred cow in intelligence. Yeah,
I don't know that level of depth, Steve.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look it up; it's true.
I can't argue with you. There's I've listened to a bunch of different theories on what this could have been, and so many people have sounded so positive, like, "Come on, Parker, the evidence right there. This is what happened." And then someone would tell me something different, and they'll say the same thing. "Come on, Parker, the evidence right there." It's like, dude, I don't know. I read like one book on it, and I watched half of the Oliver Stone movie, so I am no expert. One more, John in Fort Worth. You're on WBAP. What do you think we're going to learn from the release?
Well, I don't know if we're going to learn a whole lot more, but I'm like you about, I think 4 callers ago, you told the guy that, just like the guy in Pennsylvania, how they could kind of steer him. I believe, here's what because if the state, they continue, well, there's no way he could have made that shot to the tree or whatever. Military guy, that shot, Oswald taking his sleep as a military sniper. It's right. I mean, it's close. My kid could have made that shot.
I could have made that shot if it was a stationary target. If it's moving, I give me about a 1 in 3 shot. And what did he get off? He got like three hits. So you military guys are much better shot than me.
He was trained for that,
right?
But there's 2 things that's got me all this time. One, you got the film where the Secret Service guy leaves John F. Kennedy's car. Like, if you watch that film, the guy that's on the bumper, he moves away from the car, and he even like holds his arms up like, "I don't know why I'm leaving," And then the other thing is, you got a cop shop that's right there, kitty corner from the school book depository, and I'm like you, I don't really know anything, but I think everybody's involved, and I think.
Well, where do you stand on that?
We'll find out.
Where do you stand on the conspiracy theories around Martin Luther King? Because all the calls that I've taken here have been about JFK, and the MLK one's pretty fishy too.
I don't know enough about it.
See, I don't either. I got some reading to do, guys. I'll be a better host. I'll read some more. If y'all are this interested in it. Yeah, something's going on. I can't wait if we actually find out who did it. And one of the first things I did when I came up here for one summer when I was going to college at ETBU, I worked downtown, and we were like, we've got to go see the spot because, we're just a bunch of country bumpkins. So little 20-year-old Parker goes over there, and they have an X in the road where he got shot. And tourists go and they run out in the middle of the street real quick to get their picture taken, and then they run back. And it's not like a closed street. Like, has anyone else died taking a picture on that X? Because it is dangerous. People run out there, take a picture, and then they got to dodge a car and play Frogger to get back. It's wild. Well, why do you want your picture on that X, you Weird people. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the Gulf of America. Just had its first blizzard. What's going on? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there. Welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. So Bluebell has unveiled a new ice cream flavor. If everyone had the market research team that Bluebell has, we would all just be living in borderline a utopia. It would be the Jetsons by now. I feel like Bluebell reads my mind. The great thing that, what's the opposite of I'll never forgive? I'll never forget Bluebell for doing the greatest thing in ice cream history a few years ago. Because when I was a kid growing up, they had cookies and cream, and that was fine. And Bluebell had a great cookies and cream. They had a great tin roof. They had a lot of good ones. But then they came out with the chocolate chip cookie dough. And I don't know who gets credit for that. Because I used to eat cookie dough, when we were mixing the batter in the kitchen. And I always thought, this is great. We could just eat this. And my mom's like, no, it's got a raw egg in it. You'll get salmonella. And so the scientists, they put on their lab coats. They got out their Bunsen burners and they solved that problem. And they made a cookie dough. Not only does it not give you salmonella, but it stays in these nice little chunks. And I don't know who did it first. Was it Dairy Queen putting it in the Blizzard or Bluebell putting it in the ice cream? But it seemed to be like the cookie dough came on the scene in like the late 80s, early 90s, if I remember correctly. And then my heart was torn apart. I didn't know what was my favorite ice cream anymore. Is it going to be the cookies and cream or is it going to be the chocolate chip cookie dough? And then Bluebell a few years ago put them together. They called it the cookie two-step. And my life has been pretty much perfect ever since then. I know it's just been like I see trees of green. How do you get a better world? And then it doesn't stop. Then there's a Jack Link's makes the beef jerky that's Dr. Pepper flavored, and I'm like, oh my God, that's two of my other favorite things. I love beef jerky and I love Dr. Pepper, so they just did it again. This is when we talk about like the innovative force, the creative power of the private sector, of innovation. When you just leave companies unfettered to do whatever they want, they come up with amazing things. What's been the great innovation in something that think about something that's been completely controlled by the government your entire life, like a school bus. What new flavors of school bus you got out there? Or is it the same big dumb yellow dog that my kids are riding on that we rode in? It's the same thing. You're just bouncing around on those hard seats with those weird slide windows that don't exist anywhere else on the planet except for school buses. We can't even roll them down. We don't have anything electric. We don't even have seat belts in here yet. It just calcifies and destroys innovation. But Bluebell has a new one. They did it again. I didn't even think of this one first, but just reading it sounds good. Their new flavor, it's called strawberry toaster pastry, but we all know what that is. It's a strawberry Pop-Tart. I can smell it. I can almost taste it. And I don't know because I haven't had it yet. But I bet when I eat this, I'm going to be like, that's exactly what my brain was dreaming about when it read those words. So whenever that comes out, I'll be stuffing my face with it. But my problem is I'm old enough now that I can't eat ice cream on a regular basis or I'll end up looking like a beanbag. So I'll sin a few times. I'll get like 1 gallon bucket and then I'll just slowly eat it over the course of like the next 3 days. Or I'll invite the kids over because I got 4 kids and they're pretty good at just taking out a gallon of ice cream and just leaving me a little bit. But doesn't that sound awesome? And the other thing I'd like to point out is between what we went through a week or so ago and what Houston's going through right now, look at how well Texas has handled winter weather compared to what we did 4 years ago in the Snowmageddon, where power was out for like a week and life was all interrupted. And we were having all kinds of consternations and hearings and we were demanding some changes and we can't go through this again. Well, we just did a lot better, didn't we? As much as I don't like to give, the government credit, we did a pretty good job here. The locals did a pretty good job. The state did a pretty good job. You and I did a pretty good job not sliding around and falling off bridges and stuff. I thought we handled that pretty well. Let's give ourselves a little bit of a pat on the back. All right, a couple of reminders before I get out of here. I'll be live at the Fort Worth Stock Show tomorrow, doing the show live from 2 to 5. Also next Friday, we have the James Show meetup, the listener meetup and birthday bash is going to be coming up this Tuesday, January 28th, Shaw's Patio in Fort Worth on Magnolia. Anytime after 7 or 8-ish would be fine. And also Sammy Hagar coming to WinStar World Casino February 21st. You can get your tickets now at winstar.com, or it's one of the giveaways we're doing right now. The secret keyword for that contest is rock. You text it to 800-288-9227. You'll be entered for a chance to win a pair of tickets to see Sammy Hagar February 21st at the WinStar World Casino. Rock, 800-288-9227. All right, stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.